What is this? What is this device? Well, this device, I asked the same thing in the beginning, by the way, but this is the 360 omnidirectional speakers from LG. This is the Xboom 360. Now, this is a Bluetooth speaker, and as you know, my standards are audiophile speakers. That is what I usually review. So, Bluetooth speakers really never made a cut for me. The sound quality is just meh down here, from my experience, of course. And audiophile speakers is somewhere up here for me. Well, the LG Xboom 360 is somewhere here. Let's talk about the sound. How is this designed? What is this magical piece of art going on here? Well, this, like I said, is an omnidirectional speaker, which means that the sound is 360, meaning the sound, wherever you are, the sound quality should be exactly the same. Now, that's easier said than done. And a lot of hi-fi companies have actually attempted it. Some are good, some are excellent, but they're definitely more expensive than this piece right here. This retails for $399. And is it, like I said, is it an audiophile speaker? No, it's more of a lifestyle product. However, it has a lot of features packed into it while sounding pretty darn good. And one of the reasons they can do that is that they have legitimate technology here that I'll explain in a minute that makes sense for an omnidirectional design that will sound somewhat decent. Often I see a lot of times on the Bluetooth speaker market with these weird technology and DSP that seems promising, but actually when you actually look at the design itself, they're using cheap drivers and the overall configuration doesn't make sense for the design they're going for. Well, in this case, I think it makes a lot of sense. So first of all, we have a compression titanium driver for the tweeter right up here. You don't see it because it's inside, but it's right up here. And then that allows this conical figure right here that's lighting up right now to disperse the sound equally in 360 fashion. And this may just look like a conical design, but this was actually designed specifically for that omnidirectional dispersion. So that makes a lot of sense. And down here, if you see, you have a woofer. This is a 5.25-inch glass fiber woofer. And you may be thinking, well, how can that create any type of good bass? Well, bass is mostly port designed. So down here, you have 3 ports, well, divided into 3 sections, that is working as a port. And Tujin will tell you, that sounds very, very powerful in the bass region. That means he agrees. And that brings us to the DJ app. Now what Tujin is using right now is a DJ app. And what I mean by the app is the LG Xboom 360 app. Now this is so cool because he can connect to it, but I can also connect to it and also make sound effects. So he will give me like a clap if he agrees, he'll give me like one of these if he disagrees. It's so cool, and we can both connect to it. And the funny thing is that this is made for a party speaker. So you can connect to multiple, people, and multiple people can be DJing. So you can imagine like in a party setting, or you're having like a little campfire or something like that, a little drink. This gets really loud enough to really have that enjoyment, but also multiple people can connect to it, play their music, and play DJ and stuff like that. So it's quite unique, and the app is really fun. And if you think that was it for the app, no. It has a EQ settings. And it has preset EQ settings for like parties, outdoors and stuff like that, extra bass. But you can also have your own settings as well if you want to go for that. So the EQ setting I think is awesome, but I think also the normal sound quality that comes out of the speaker is one of my favorite as well, because it has a very deep bass and the mid-range is just aligned with the rest of the frequency and high frequency. Now one thing that I will criticize is that unlike the stereo speakers that I'm used to, and I'm being very, very picky here, I just know that the sound is coming from this physical machine, like this physical product, I know where the sound is coming from. I can localize it. So that does throw me off a little bit, but Tujin will tell you, when I had this speaker in my listening room, in between my two speakers, Tujin was like, you know what, honestly, I forgot I was playing Bluetooth speaker. He agrees. So this speaker really does have that sound quality. It does have that deep bass that is coming mostly from the overall port design rather than the 5.25 inch woofer that is rather small but effective. And it is a glass fiber woofer, so it's very, very rigid. So overall, this compression driver woofer design omnidirectional speaker makes sense. And in fact, I would go far as to say if this was not a Bluetooth speaker but a passive speaker for stereo use, I would say this is a very, very good speaker to begin with, which is the right point to start when you're making a Bluetooth speaker, to get the speaker design right and then add the Bluetooth function in there. And I think that's what they did here. So let's make it clear. I'm not saying this is an audiophile speaker, like a true audiophile speaker that costs several $1,000s more. But this is a $400 product we're talking about. And for what it is, for a Bluetooth speaker, it is one of the best sounding speaker I've heard. In fact, the best sounding one that I heard was a DVLA. So the DVLA costs thousands of dollars. This is a $400 product that fits into lifestyle, and we'll talk about the features later on, but it's very, very impressive, and I really like the features it has. And also the DJ that Tujin is obsessed with. See what I mean? And the more I use it, the more I appreciate the overall design and the sound quality. But in all honesty, like I said before, if this was a passive speaker, like two of them, it would make a perfect hi-fi speaker, and I'm kind of upset they didn't do that. But for what it is, as a Bluetooth speaker, a single alone unit, it fits perfectly into a lifestyle because we'll talk about the features soon. But in terms of the overall sound quality, what is most impressive is the bass. When I first heard the bass, it was comparable to DVLA in terms of extension. Like, it doesn't have as much of a slam as a DVLA, and yes, we're talking about a several $1,000 difference here, but the bass on this actually extends really low and rumbles. In fact, when I first heard this, I was so impressed. I was like, oh my god, this sounds like Tujin's car, because
say, wait, what? I take offense to that.
Well, because his car has a lot of sub bass, like he put in like woofers in there, like a lot of bass. But again, the reason I compared it to Tujin's car was because the bass is not as well controlled or textured or well put together like a hi-fi system. It is just very party-like bass. Like, it makes you feel the bass rumble. And in that way, it's more of a party kind of speaker. And that's what Tujin's car sounds like too, if you wanted a little review of that.
I take offense to that. But also, if I want to add on to that,
yeah.
What's really nice is the amount of bass that it does in that size, that footprint. Because it filled this room, no problem.
Yes, that's the other thing, is it fills this room, no problem. And we were at about 80% volume. Because when I went into the app, I was like, wow, we still have more volume to go. Now, you don't have to go into the app. You have settings on the top, and those are basic settings: power, the light control, and also the volume control. But obviously, you can use the app itself that Tujin is doing right now to change the color and the ambience, the sound quality, the EQ, and all that stuff. So all in all, it is a very nice sounding speaker. Now, in terms of the mid-range and the high frequency, I like it. Obviously, it's not as refined as hi-fi speakers, not as clear sounding or refined, like I said. However, it's very well balanced. Often I hear like Bluetooth speakers with really elevated highs or really forward mids with no highs and just bass and mids. This is not like that. Because of that compression titanium driver, you get that very clear, crisp sound for a Bluetooth speaker, again, that is rather exciting a little bit. So imagine like a party kind of scenario where the high frequency is a little bit elevated so that it has that nice, crispy, attack of snares, but also really deep bass and, really thumpy bass. But the mid-range is also well balanced. It's not like the mid-range is totally sucked out. I can happily listen to the mid-range of this speaker and it will be decent enough. Again, not as refined, not as, detailed or all that like that in terms of audiophile quality, but I just can't, I can't imagine myself having two of these, because two of these in a passive setup may change the whole game. in terms of what I just said there.
That's a big statement, Jay.
Lighting my way. So as you can see, it has a handle. And before we talk about the whole portable thing, which is big on the speaker, I want to mention that yes, you can have two of these. They have a button here inside this lid that allows you to link two of the speakers. However, that means that they're playing for output, meaning they're playing the same thing, not a left and right channel distinctively like a stereo setting, but they're just there for maximum or better output.
Doubling your output, essentially.
Doubling your output, essentially. So I just wanted to put that in touch there because I don't want you to be misled. Yes, you can have two of these, but it won't be like a traditional stereo setting like that. Now, the handle is really cool. It's portable. And I hate it. I can't express how much I hate when Bluetooth manufacturers or Bluetooth speaker manufacturers say that is truly Bluetooth or truly wireless, but then you have to plug in a power cable anyways, or it won't work. And this is true for DVLA. This is true for a lot of speakers out there that say it's truly, wireless or truly Bluetooth. You have to connect it to the power anyways at all times. This is not the case. As you can see, it's using a universal cable, a two-prong cable, and it connects to the bottom of this unit. And as you can see, it's disconnected. It's not connected right now. This has 10 hours of battery life. So this is weighing about 13 pounds. It's a pretty hefty device, and obviously, a big part of that is the battery inside that lets this device be truly Bluetooth wireless, whatever you want to call it, for 10 hours. However, there is the downside of this being, the charging time being 5 hours. Now, that to me is not a true deal breaker per se, because I would have this plugged into my, usual spot that I would put this, and then when I want to take it somewhere like a campfire, into the nature somewhere on my one wheel or wherever I want to go, then I can do so for 10 hours. And I think that's plenty enough time for most people, including myself, for some musical enjoyment to be added to your leisures. Now, other than that, they come in other finishes as well, but I got this in this beautiful finish because it's one of my favorite finishes. It's kind of like a navy blue finish here. I'll put up on the screen exactly what finish this is. And also, talking about lifestyle and the looks, this light cannot be ignored. It's like a lantern, right? That's the lantern effect as I walked in. And as Tujin is doing right now, you can change the colors in the app setting itself. And you can do a variety of settings from party to nature, and they have all the presets there. But also, you can set your own as well, which is very cool, and it really can fit into your whole lifestyle and your life environment with the ambient lighting. You can also control how strong the lighting is, so you can go from all the way high bright to almost, no brightness whatsoever. And this really allows you to fine-tune the unit itself to fit your modern day home or modern day office or whatnot. And also, if you see here the lid, you have aux in, you have other inputs here, and you also have the twin capability that I talked about before. So this is a very intuitive design. Again, the controls on the top, the lid is here, the power plug is down here, and all this, I didn't need to check the manual. So that's a good start. So the big takeaway is this, in my opinion. This is a lifestyle product, and for what it is, it sounds great. Again, it's not like totally audiophile great, but the gap is pretty close, and it sounds pretty good, again, for what it is. And it's aesthetically pleasing and interesting enough that you can take to your Christmas party. It's freaking wonderful.
You'll be the cool kid.
I'll be the cool kid. And again, it's pleasing enough that you can put into your space and you can take it on the go to your home office parties and stuff like that without having to worry about battery life, output power. That's a big one for Bluetooth speakers. It usually didn't get loud enough. This filled my space no problem. So again, as a Bluetooth speaker and for what it is, it's an excellent product. And on top of that, the sound quality actually amazed me. And I'm not joking when I say I really want to see a passive version of this, two of them left and right channel. That's something I want to see because I'm impressed with the sound quality of the single unit by itself as a Bluetooth speaker. So that's pretty much it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.